Hello Genshin players and Kaveh enjoyers. Since I did get C6 Kaveh from the Baishu banner while I was pulling for him, I did want to test C0 to C6. I feel like I could do a better job of doing it off stream just so I can think. Make it a little bit more organized. So yeah, I have C6. I haven't activated a single constellation. He's at C0. I have him at level 90 and talent level 8. So Kaveh's whole thing is being a bloom carry, basically a 4-star version of Nilou. While Nilou has passives to buff her bloom damage, for Kaveh it's pretty reliant on his burst. So talent investment is pretty important with him, at least just for the burst. You don't need to level up the E, it doesn't really have anything to do with bloom damage. This is all attack multipliers, same with the normal attacks. You really just want to use him as an on-fielder that can proc the blooms earlier. And he's also going to be providing around a 40% Dendrocore burst damage bonus from his burst at level 8. So what I want to test is, honestly, I want to see the C1 healing. How big is this? Does it really affect him? C2, I heard was pretty noticeable from a friend that the attack speed is actually really nice to have. C4, this constellation actually buffs the bloom damage. And C6, where you don't need to either pop the seeds, you can trigger this every 3 seconds. So I think if you time it right, you can get 3 seconds E, 3 seconds C6, 3 seconds E, 3 seconds C6 over the course of your entire rotation. This is going to be a very raw test, not really that scientific. If ever I miss stuff, I will just add it probably in a text somewhere here, or maybe like highlight the numbers of what he was doing, because you know it is bloom damage and it's kind of hard to keep track of. Personally, I think it's hard. We don't even know specifically who's proccing the blooms at every moment, and that's why when you run a bloom team, you just run everyone full EM. So that's what Kaveh has right now, full EM, 178 ER because I am running Favj. It's level 20, but it doesn't really matter because we're doing bloom damage. So really the only thing that matters is that he's level 90 and he has EM on the substats. It is Flower of Paradise Lost, that's why the EM value is kind of low. But the 4-piece Flower of Paradise Lost, even with this 4-star piece, is about as good as a full EM gilded. So yeah, this is his build. Nahida is running EM Dendro, EM crit damage with 134 ER, 1000 floating dreams, which will be giving us an extra like 42 EM to the rest of the party, and as well as giving us the Dendro resonance. Yelan is full EM. 186 is the highest I can take it. That's with Syphos on Ayato already, and it's really hard to get her burst up with an EM weapon and an EM build. She has the stringless right now. And if 2-piece of Gilded and Wonder is true, I even rolled this piece just to have enough ER. It rolled pretty well actually, but I rolled this piece just for this. Talent levels don't matter. There you go. She's level 90, 1080 EM, and Ayato, who has 1100 EM with Syphos Moonlight to help with the rest of the party's energy. And he's running a 2-piece as well of Wonders and Gilded Dreams. He has around 200 ER, so this is actually a pretty sustainable ratio. With Ayato just being a complete off-fielder that just uses his Q before every rotation. I don't have Kokumi, I don't have Barbara built. Like, I will use Ayato because I already have him. So our on-fielder will be Kaveh. Yelan and Ayato will be providing off-field hydro application and as well as ownership of some of the blooms. Their EM values aren't that different, so there shouldn't be that big of a discrepancy between the bloom damage that these two will be doing. And since Kaveh and Nahida are there, ownership will probably be on the hydro units most of the time. So I just want to see C0, probably just gonna test it against single target, and then maybe at C6 we'll do an Abyss run, and maybe we'll even try a Nilou Kaveh Bloom team, which is probably really good. I want this to be a non-Nilou Kaveh test. I want this to be highlighting what Kaveh can bring to the Bloom reaction and not what he can add to Nilou's teams, if that makes any sense. We're gonna do just Masanori, Nahida EQ into everyone else. Or Ayato first and then Nahida EQ into everyone else. Hopefully it doesn't move that much. And the healing's pretty nice. Barely get to finish him with one rotation there. I'm not gonna go and kill him, we'll just save time. Okay, before I activate the C1, what I do want to test is the healing because, you know, this is the healing constellation. I just want to see how much he heals now. and want to activate it real quick, like isolated, because I'm not sure if it's gonna be that clear in a full rotation scenario. I want to see it for myself, you know. We'll use Nahida Burst, but we won't use the Hydro card. Maybe I'll use Yelan's. There, we healed quite a bit actually. 3k healing, not bad.
That was your last chance. Come at me.
Yeah, around 3.4k healing every time. So since we know the healing is around 3.4, 3.5k, I'm gonna go ahead and activate the C1, test the healing again, and then from now on, I think we'll just do a full rotation on Masanori. Again, I know this isn't the best case for Bloom. Obviously, it works best in AoE, but I think it's just easier to see in single target. Obviously, he will perform way better in AoE, and maybe I'll do an Abyss run with him later. There we go. 50% more. And let's go ahead and test just the healing for now. So Nahida EQ, Yelan Burst, and then Kaveh healing. I didn't burst, but it's fine. Need to take damage though. 4.7. Yeah, so it's pretty good. I think it's a pretty decent constellation. You might be able to run him as a solo sustain, maybe with Xingqiu, because you'll have the spot healing from Xingqiu, and then you'll have the healing from Kaveh's own kit. And I did want to do this test with Xingqiu, but I don't have him at level 90. He's, I think, at level 85 right now. I've just kept him at 85 for the longest time, and I don't have enough wits right now to level him all the way up, because, you know, I did come from Nilou, Baizhu, and Kaveh, and my wits looking kind of sad right now. Okay, so since C2 is the damage constellation, I mean, technically it's not a damage constellation, but it is a little bit more attack speed, so I do want to test. So this is how his C0 attacks look like. There you go. We'll go ahead and activate the C2. Let's get the increased attack speed. This is still a very rare stat in the game, not found in a lot of kits, just mainly supports. But we don't have a lot of constellations that increase your own attack speed. So at C2, we need our burst up to see the difference. That's kind of noticeable. Also, I think I killed the Firefly. That is pretty noticeable. I think attack speed is immediately noticeable when you compare it side by side like that. Now that I think about it, C2 is probably a supplementary constellation to C6, just so you probably can get the timings right all the time for the Bloom procs, I mean. But I think I'm gonna go test C2 in a full rotation against Masanori, skip C3, and we'll go ahead to C4 because that's when the damage, because I think that's where there's going to be a significant increase in damage. Aito Q, Nahida EQ, into Yelan, and then Kaveh. $22, $23k, $22, $23k on the blooms. Not bad, I think. Okay, for his C3, I thought that this was a skill, and so I said that there wasn't going to be that big of a damage increase. But actually, it's the burst, so we will see a damage increase because it is talent levels for the Dendro Core burst damage. So if you activate this, we're gonna go and get level 11. So this damage, I'm gonna do one here and then at C4. So this damage is what you might expect for a crowned Kaveh. I mean, it's level 11, so a little bit more than a crowned Kaveh, but you get it, you get it. Ayato.
Watch and learn.
23.
Come at me.
Yeah, around 23, 26k I saw. Don't think that was a Nahida Trikarma proc. That was Bloom. So there is an increase. Okay, we're done with C3. At C4, this is probably the biggest damage increase in terms of the Bloom damage. And C6 will probably be your best damage per rotation increase. So C4 now will do 60% more Bloom damage. Or 60% more. Oh, this is not as good as I thought. It only does 60% more damage from Bloom reactions that Kaveh triggers. This doesn't count the seeds that he bursts with his E, because that doesn't change ownership of the blooms. So this is only for the blooms that Kaveh himself creates. So that's kind of disappointing actually. I thought it was a bigger increase. It will still be an increase, probably, to the total damage overall, but I thought that was that was just a Bloom damage increase for the rest of the team. Messed up the rotations, we're doing it again. Let's go. Okay, let's see the damage increase. This messed it up again, but it's fine. We'll see the damage after his burst. 27. Okay, those are Kaveh's blooms. A while ago he was doing around 26 from the cores that he created. 28 now. I think that's with Max Stack Flower of Paradise lost. Interesting. Maybe you could use something like Xingqiu and Yelan, so that you kinda guarantee that he has ownership of the blooms with that team. But I'm not so sure. So C5, okay, this might be the actual most useless constellation in terms of Bloom Kaveh teams. This is only really a damage increase for spread Kaveh teams because it only gives you talent levels on your E. So I'm gonna skip trying to do a rotation with this. And we're gonna move on to the big C6. When Kaveh's normal charged or plunging attacks hit opponents during Painted Dome, which is his burst, they will unleash I will not try to pronounce that, light upon the opponent's position, dealing 61.8 of Kaveh's attack as AoE Dendro damage. That's not going to do that much if you're building full EM. And causing Dendro cores within that AoE to burst. That's the big one. This effect can be triggered once every 3 seconds. So this one will increase his overall damage because he will be proccing way more blooms now. Because there is a reaction limit on the bloom, so when there are like 4 or 5 seeds on the floor and then you press E on Kaveh, you're not getting the full benefit of all those seeds. What this constellation will do is probably, you'll still probably be over-generating seeds, but at least this helps with that reaction limit. So I'm gonna go activate it. Finally, I've been waiting to do this since like the first week of the banner. I haven't had the time to do this video, so I finally get to activate this. And now we can see the damage increase. So Masanori, I'm sorry for abusing you today. This will probably be the last one in a while. I'll go back to the Abyss, I promise. I just want to see what Kaveh can do at C6. This. There's it. There's the AoE. See all the seeds blow up at the same time. Can't use Ayato's burst, but we can do Nahida's.
Watch and learn. Fight clear.
I won't use E. There. Okay, it's kinda noticeable. Maybe if I compare the footage, I'm not so sure. Maybe it was a mistake to do this single target before C6 and after. Maybe I wanted to do it in AoE first. But that's it. That's the C0 to C6. I might try it with the Nilo team, but what I'm gonna do now is probably go to Abyss and show you a full Abyss clear with this exact team on both halves with Kaveh. Okay, what I have learned is his teams, without a dedicated healer, are really hard to use.